here we are, last game in the shoe.
It's late November and the Scarlet Fever has broken out in Columbus. Scarlet and Gray against Scarlet Knights. But before the ball is kicked, the tears will fall.
There's a lot of great memories on that field.
It's senior day at the shoe, the final time on this field, but as kickoff approaches, there's still mystery on who will take this field. There's no better time to beat a night than the afternoon. Ohio State against Rutgers, senior day. The football fever starts right now. To a picture-perfect day at Ohio Stadium. Welcome to the Football Fever. I am Dave Holmes, joined by Obi Stillwell. We have Jay Richardson and Ben Buchanan back in the studio. Kellyanne Stitz is inside Ohio Stadium as we speak. We will talk to all of them in just a minute. But first off, when I say picture-perfect, Obi, this is as good as it gets for late November football.
Oh, absolutely. We've been through much, much worse, and this is a gift. This is a blessing.
Yeah, so you get the 10-0 Ohio State Buckeyes today, hosting the 5-5 Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Now, we know what's on the horizon next week up in Ann Arbor, Obi, but for next week to matter the way you want it to matter, you got to take care of business today.
Yeah, and you have some very special seniors that are graduating. This will be the last time in the horseshoe. But it has to be business as usual. It's going to be a high emotional day, especially for the Styles, Sonny and Lorenzo Styles, both as brothers. I don't think that has ever happened. Unprecedented that two brothers are actually going to be on senior day together. But you got to balance those emotions in business as usual.
Yeah, we're going to hear from Sonny and Lorenzo Styles later in the show. The big storyline today, though, the wide receiving core. Last week we saw Carnell Tate hobble off the field in the Buckeyes win over UCLA. Jeremiah Smith, hobble off the field. Carnell Tate, we haven't seen him since the Purdue game when he was warming up and something happened. So the status of those wide receivers today is up in the air. Let's go inside the horseshoe to Kellyanne Stitz to find out who's in and who's out. Kellyanne?
Yeah, hey, good morning, guys, from inside of the shoe where the Buckeyes will be without their star wide receivers, Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith, who are listed as out per Ohio State's injury report. Now, Carnell Tate is missing his third straight game, while Jeremiah Smith was questionable against UCLA, and he ended up playing, but he left the game early. Now, Ryan Day did not want to discuss the details of their injuries this week.
Our policy is that we don't discuss specifics on injuries, and then once you start going down a little bit here, a little bit there, you can create a problem. And so, for a number of reasons, we don't discuss those things. But I can tell you that they're in great spirits. The medical staff is working hard. We'll take it day to day and see how they come in each day. But they're working hard to get back on the field.
I asked Coach Day on Wednesday about the younger receivers like Miley Graham and Bryson Rogers stepping up, and he said we're going to need them this weekend. Today will be a good day against Rutgers for the Buckeyes to build depth at wide receiver, but they will be without their young receiver, Quincy Porter. But some good news, physical running back C.J. Donaldson, who did not play against UCLA, is available this week, and it would be a good opportunity for him to get some reps today against Rutgers with that big one next weekend, guys.
Yeah, so that means Brandon Innes with a whole lot more targets coming his way today. He's been kind of a number 3 option, but yeah. Brandon Innes, some other guys a chance to step up today, Obi.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, next man up, and I know we've heard that many times, but it's almost an embarrassment of riches to have this deep of a wide receiver core. Speaks definitely to Brian Hartline and also to Devin Jordan and what they've done in that wide receiver room.
Okay, we both think that the Buckeyes will be fine today against Rutgers without Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith, but let's talk big picture and the panic level, because I've seen some people online who are freaked out. There's a segment of Buckeye Nation very concerned. I personally am more concerned about Carnell Tate than Jeremiah Smith. So here's what we're going to do. We've got these emojis, all right? We've got the cool guy, nothing's wrong emoji on one side, and we have the panic emoji on the other side. Obi, big picture, where do you fall on the emoji scale?
Yeah, I'm minimum panic. I'm not big on the panic side. I think that Jeremiah Smith, especially Carnell Tate, they're just now getting into that leadership aspect. Like Emeka, when Emeka went out, that was different because he's such a leader. These guys are productive. Don't get me wrong, but the leadership aspect, the shift in the locker room, I don't think is as severe because they're not as vocal, if you will, and I don't think it's that significant. Now, obviously, Jeremiah Smith is the best wide receiver in the country. But again, next man up. There's a lot of 4 and 5 stars behind him, and these guys are chomping at the bit to play.
You know, I'll be honest, I'm a little bit more concerned than you are. Put me closer to the panic emoji on this. Not so much with Jeremiah Smith. I do think we'll see him on the field next week against Michigan. He said in the offseason, I hate those guys. I'll never lose to them again. So he's going to find his way onto that field if he can just physically move. The Carnell Tate one, though, I'm concerned about. It is very odd to me that you would hold someone out for, quote, precautionary reasons against Purdue. 2 weeks later, here we are, and they have less updates than they did 2 weeks ago. So to me, that's odd as we bring in the rest of our broadcast crew, Jay Richardson and Ben Buchanan back in studio, guys. I am more on the panic emoji on Carnell Tate. Maybe I'll put the sunglasses on with Jeremiah Smith, but Carnell concerns me, guys.
Yeah, good thoughts there, guys. All right, Jay, the injuries to the 2 best wide receivers in college football, it's certainly cause for concern. So the question is, where are you on the panic meter, my friend?
Okay, so I'm going to have to say I'm with Dave Holmes on this one. When it comes to Jeremiah Smith, man, I'm right here. You see those sunglasses? That is me all day long.
Okay.
My man's going to be just fine. Listen, he got a little thigh contusion. Happens to all of us when we're out there. A lot of guys diving at. He's such a big, strong receiver. They dive at his legs. He gets hit on that thigh. So there's that clip of him walking down the tunnel very gingerly. He's kind of got one of these going on.
People were worried it was a hamstring.
Everybody, I was worried it was a hamstring.
You saw that limp, and you're like, what is that?
Turns out thigh contusion. We love those because those, a little bit of ice, a little bit of rest, you're good to go. If he had to go against Rutgers today, he would have played. But there's no need for that. We want him for that team up north. We all know that. Now, Carnell Tate, I'm a little bit closer to that over there. Why? Sources I'm hearing from are that it could be something, I don't want to say serious, but potentially. So when you're dealing with the lower leg and you're dealing with like a calf muscle area strain, stuff like that, and again, it's just speculation. That's what we're hearing. That could lead sometimes to more serious injuries. And so as a player, you're going to want to be a little bit more protective of what you're doing. You got to understand, too, Carnell Tate's probably going to be a top 10 draft pick.
Sure.
What I will say to Carnell Tate, if he's listening, and the Buckeyes are paying you, man. You're getting paid right now. So can't rest.
You're saying you're not paid to hang out?
No, you don't get no. They're not paying you $2 million to hang out, my brother. And I love you. I think you're a fantastic receiver. And I think he will be one of the first 2 receivers taken off the board.
Sure.
But when it comes to that team up north and the playoffs, the Buckeyes, to put their best product on the field, need Carnell Tate in the lineup.
I'll say that if, it sounds like Jeremiah is going to be able to go, which is great. Obviously, make the right decision here, rest him versus Rutgers, you think. But you're right. I mean, I'm a little more on that panic meter, you could say, for Carnell, because what's close to the calf and the lower extremities, it's that Achilles, right? And we've seen a lot of interesting injuries with that.
Ding, ding, ding.
Some guys in sports, so you can understand, where this might, what you don't want to go down that road, obviously. Now, Tate and Smith's absence against UCLA meant the Buckeyes had to shift strategies and put their faith in a few unproven guys on the roster. We saw Brandon Inniss get a lot of targets, but others like Quincy Porter and Bryson Rogers hauled in a few passes, and Mylan Graham recorded the most receiving yards out of all the wideouts last week. It's something Coach Day says is vital if this team wants to win another national championship.
We need, everybody to step up this time of year in terms of depth. There was definitely, you guys saw good plays out there, and so, but there was things now that are on film that they can grow from, and then get back back to work. And guys trust them when they get on the field. That's important. So, there's definitely good things there, and they're going to have opportunities again this weekend.
All right, Jay, it's certainly nice to know the Buckeyes have elite depth at wide receiver. Even when the 2 best wideouts in college football were sidelined, the Buckeyes were still able to pick apart the Bruins through the air.
Well, Ben, tons of talent at that position. We all know that Buckeyes recruit the best. What's wonderful about it is you have these injuries in a sweet spot in your schedule where you don't have to have your best guys out there at all times. And Brandon Inniss has had a chance last week to really shine, made some really tough catches. A couple of them didn't count, but they were just really, really fantastic catches. You'll see Mylan Graham, who I think is going to be that next big time guy for the Buckeyes moving forward. He reminds me a lot of Garrett Wilson and how he runs his routes and just his movement. And then don't think about just receivers. Max Clare had a big game last week, had a good handful of grabs, moved the chains, and he's somebody super talented the Buckeyes brought in from Purdue. He's a guy that's a mismatch for all of those interior defensive players like the safeties and the linebackers. So look for Max Clare to really have a chance to get off and do his thing. And I just think the Buckeyes are going to operate their offense like they always do. And I think we'll talk about this later, but the run game is going to be critical for the Buckeyes.
Run game critical today. I like that too. Continue to get the tight ends involved. That's just another dynamic area of the passing attack. All right, the phrase is running like Raymond. Rutgers has an explosive ground game led by a recent award winner. We'll break down how the Buckeyes plan to stop him and how they're using the Scarlet Knights offense as a type of litmus test. This is the Football Fever. Stay with us.
Give to Antoine Raymond. He's had such a nice day on the ground, and it continues, bursting out of a tackle to the 40. One more give. Patient run in the backfield, bouncing right side. Raymond again. Physical run down across the 45. Give him 15 more. Gives it off, and this is Raymond. Look at him go! Cutting upfield. Finally dragged down from behind at the 37 on another explosive run of 34 yards. One more time for Raymond, and he's in for a touchdown. A special day for Antoine Raymond.
And what a special day it was. Rutgers running back Antoine Raymond named the Doak Walker National Running Back of the Week after his 240-yard, one-touchdown game helped the Scarlet Knights take down Maryland 35-20. Raymond proved too much for the Terrapin defense, but will he be a problem for the Silver Bullets? Jay, what does this Buckeye defense need to do to stop such a powerful runner here today?
Fantastic question. So listen, this kid is the real deal. Tough runner, physical kid. It's also the style of running. We all know Shiano's very, very big on physicality. He's very, very big on downhill runs. He's going to pull guards. They're going to lead and kick out. And what that does to a defense is, especially if you're a gap defense, it forces your edge players to make decisions, sometimes tough decisions, Ben. Do you want to take on a 330-pound guard, and are you going to get up underneath that block, and are you going to engage to be able to slow this runner's feet down? Like all great running backs, if you can slow their feet down in the backfield and stop what they're doing, now you've got a chance to rally as a defense. But this is one of Ohio State's weaknesses, and we'll get into it, but a power run game is the one area that if you're Rutgers, you're thinking, we can maybe make this thing interesting and we can shorten this football game if we can run the football strong on first and second down. And now you create these third and medium, third and shorts for your quarterback, and you got a chance to at least stay in a game with a Buckeye team that is a high-powered offense. So, Ben, this is going to be a solid test for the Buckeyes heading into you know what next week.
We know what's next
because
week, man.
That power running game ain't going anywhere next week.
Yeah, we'll see if we can do it today, senior day in the shoe. Now, this defense under Matt Patricia has certainly turned a corner this season, as we know. But where can they still get better here, Jay, in 2025? There's always room for improvement, as they say.
Y'all know me, man. I love this defense. I love what Matt Patricia's done with this defense. And there are so many great things to just rah-rah and cheer about with the Buckeye defense because they are, tops in the entire league and everything. There's only a couple places I can say, hey, Buckeye defense, if you want to be perfect, which is, hard to do, here are some places you can improve. One would be attacking power run schemes. I think sometimes power run teams have a chance to gash the Buckeyes here and there. And you saw some of that even with Grambling, even with OU. You saw a couple runs kind of pop through there. And that is just because of gap integrity that you'll see up front with a lot of new young D linemen. Second thing I'm going to say, the Buckeyes can be a little bit better at getting to the quarterback, and I mean specifically up front. Arvell Reese, obviously we know he's going to bring it. We know there are going to be some blitzes where Sonny and different guys get there, but you want to see a little bit more consistency out of the front four. No sacks last week up front.
I was going to say, he's been a little quiet recently,
man.
Been
very quiet. 2 weeks in a row. Haven't really seen Arvell the Beast out there being like, that dominant player that we're used to, at least on third down in the pass rush trenches. So that's something that the Buckeyes can heading into a huge week really get better at. And then only 6 turnovers all season for the Buckeyes. I think last season they were closer to like 10 at this point. So you want to see a little bit more aggression maybe when they need to. But again, I'm nitpicking. This is the best defense in college football. This is just me saying, man, where can they continue to tweak and tune the gears to be ready for that big playoff run?
Good takeaways. We'll see if we can do it today. All right, for more on this ground game test that Rutgers will give to Ohio State, let's send things out to Dave and Obi at the shoe. Hey, guys.
Hey there, guys. So I would say this, Obi. One good thing is you at least know that Rutgers wants to run the ball. There's not really an element of balance or surprise here. So when you're a defensive player and you know a team's coming into your house and you know they want to run it 65, 70% of the time, what do you do on defense to counter that when you know it's coming?
Well, one of the first things I want to say is that Rutgers quarterback actually has more receiving yards than Julian Sands. All right, and they do have a running back. They do have running backs that actually one of the running backs have already eclipsed 1,000 yards. So this is probably one of the better offenses that Ohio State will go against. But I also believe that Ohio State is extremely dominant with Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles. I say you just pack that front, and you either make Arvell Reese or you make Caleb Downs that monster back type of guy. And just let them run, go, see ball, go get ball, and then we'll be out of here and game over. I mean, I think that's literally how you stop the run game. Like Jay was saying, you got to stay gap sound. That Ohio State has kind of been prone for a couple, 20, 25-yard runs, but then they'll shut it down after that. So you just have to be gap disciplined, gap sound, and then let Sonny or let Arvell just run to the ball.
Yeah, and let's say this: Antoine Raymond had a huge game. That's why he won the Doak Walker National Running Back of the Week award. He also had 41 carries. Shout out to him for getting out of bed the next morning after 41 carries. Obi, they might not get 41 plays today.
Right,
So his numbers will come down. But I do want to ask you about this being a dress rehearsal. I understand schematically this is not Michigan's running game, but a team the week before Michigan that wants to run the ball, I would think. I don't know if you checked the weather next week in Ann Arbor. If you haven't, don't do it now. It'll ruin your morning. It's not looking good. So if it is one of those 25-degree snowy days in Ann Arbor, is this a litmus test today? Is this almost a stretch or a dress rehearsal for what next week could be.
Yeah, I think it's the perfect game to get Ohio State set up for the Michigan battle, and obviously not looking ahead. But when you look at that, the type of offense that the Rutgers are running, that hard-nosed up-front offensive line, yes, it is. I would say it's a great dress rehearsal. You couldn't plan it any better. And then possibly the Rutgers, I'm interested in how much they'll show, because their bowl bid is based off of one more win. And I think I think they probably in the back of their mind know that they're not going to win this game, but they could win Penn State, which is their next game after Ohio State. So I'm kind of wondering how much they're going to show. Are they looking ahead themselves?
Yeah, that's a very interesting point, because in some ways next week's game almost means more to both of these teams in various ways. And I'm with you that it almost doesn't matter who's on the field today for Ohio State. They're going to take care of this business. I had someone this week say, Dave, do you think it's a trap game? So trap games only exist when there's at least a chance of the other team doing it. That's not going to happen this week. So it's really about staying healthy, getting a win here, and moving on up north. But it's also about honoring the seniors on this football team. Coming up next on The Football Fever, we'll hear from some of the guys who are taking the field at the shoe for possibly the last time. Stay with us.
All right, time now for the G&J Pepsi Fantastic Photo of the Week, and we're saying cheers to our Buckeyes and cheers to our seniors. That's right. Students and fans will get to send off the team seniors today and celebrate all the amazing things they've done for this special program. They obviously have. Now, Senior Day is one of the most impactful and memorable days in a player's collegiate career. Jay, you and I were blessed to have some very memorable Senior Days. Can you just describe that day for all of us, all the memories, and most importantly for you, my man, a truly iconic win versus that team up north?
Yeah, Ben, let me tell you something about that morning, that afternoon, that night. It was just so much going on. Oh, look at the young guy. It was nerve-wracking, honestly, because you know it's your last game. You understand what's on the line. You got your parents there, you got your mom and your whole family on the sidelines, and you know you want to have a great game, and there we go, get the sack.
Let's go, big fella.
You know you want to do all of that stuff, but you've also got a game plan for the biggest game in your career, just not in any sport, in any time in your life. And it's the most stressful thing to do as we see young Obi out there on the sidelines. It's just so much going on. That one was particularly crazy because Ohio State was the number one. You know, we were number one in the entire country, and Michigan was number 2, and you're fighting for everything. Like, whoever wins this game is going to the BCS National Championship, and that for us was like all the pressure in the world, and you were playing for everything. And so it's hard to try to separate the emotions from knowing that your last time in the shoe from the emotions of knowing you got to get serious. So that first 10 minutes of that game was really rough. Like, we did not look good because we were trying to come down from that emotional high of being with the family, and you're trying to push all that down deep and lock back in to X's and O's, your job, all your keys that you need to read before the ball snaps, and it becomes all these technical aspects of being a sharp football player on game day and trying to balance that with all the emotional aspects of knowing this is your last time you'll ever do this again. I'm glad it's happening against Rutgers for these guys now, and they get that moment out of the way today because next week is all business.
They have to handle some business.
All business.
I was in the stands as a youngster watching you play. I remember that was an iconic game, and I remember some of those sacks, my man.
Like
you got after it. I think I was in middle school at that point. I was. You're dating me a little here. I remember, Jay, my senior day, it was 2012. I was blessed to play for 3 different coaches at Ohio State, Jim Tressel, Luke Fickell for the 1 year, and Urban Meyer. This was Urban Meyer's first year. Yeah, I was really blessed, man. Great leadership tactics learned from all of them. But 2012, if you remember during that time, Buckeye Nation, we actually had a postseason ban that year from Tattoo-Gate and NCAA. So Coach Urban Meyer told us going into this season, he said, we're going to play for one another. We're going to play for our football families, our families in the great state of Ohio. And so we knew coming into this game, 11-0 on the season, we're sitting at number 3 or 4 in the country. Likely would have played for the national championship if we were able to go to the postseason that year. But we knew this was our last game. And I just remember, you see the great Braxton Miller doing his thing there. And just remember everything that went into this game, all the emotions, as you mentioned, going out there to hug my mom and dad. And you think of all the time, the sacrifice, and what goes into, becoming a Buckeye. And that was an emotional moment, kind of embracing there. And as a punter, thankful for one of my last opportunities. I think it was around the 50-yard line. Had a chance to drop one inside the 10, and that's just all you could ask for as you're kind of one of your final plays.
That is not easy to do, by the way, folks.
Nice little pooch punt there.
Like, you see guys on Sundays who can't do what he did that day. That's
man.
amazing. And you know what we both have in common?
What's that?
After that Michigan game? On senior day, we both left with another pair of gold pants.
I love that, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Don't take that for granted, as we know.
Yes.
Now, the seniors that won't get to play that team up north on their special day in the shoe, as we know today, but that doesn't mean the day is any less meaningful. Kellyanne Stitz caught up with some of the seniors ahead of today's game. Kellyanne?
Yeah, guys, today's game at the shoe could be the last one for a lot of guys. 16 Buckeyes have exhausted their eligibility and are expected to participate in the pregame senior day festivities. The seniors I spoke with at the Woody on Wednesday said the last 4 years have flown by and their time as a Buckeye has been a blessing.
It means a lot. I would never have thought me and my brother would be walking on the same senior day, but seeing him walk and then just me coming together, I know it's just a blessing. Everything's coming together how it's supposed to be.
Got a lot of family coming for this game, so it's gonna be a super cool moment. Just taking it all in and just trying to make the most of it.
With Coach Mick starting, he really turned me into the person I am today. Just like leadership, mentality, just everything I would have never thought I would have turned into. Coach Day pushing me every day. Coach Johnson kind of just making sure I take every little detail into account. So, there's really just so many people in here that kind of just change your whole life. You don't even realize it.
It means a lot to me. I think the past 4 years flew by. So just trying to, take in each and every moment.
Right now, the team is about to take the field for their final warm-up. The pregame senior day festivities will begin when the 27 mark hits on the scoreboard's clock about 30 minutes before this noon kickoff. But it'll be a special moment for brothers Lorenzo Styles Jr. and Sonny Styles, who are participating in the senior day together, and they'll be able to celebrate their football careers as a family. They said they have 17 members of their family expected to be here for today's game, of course, including their dad, who is a former Buckeye. But guys, these seniors do want to make history this season as the first team to win back-to-back national championships, and there's still a lot of work to be done. And they certainly don't want to leave Ohio State without a Big Ten championship, but especially those gold pants.
Yeah, for sure. To finish up with a pair of gold pants, a Big Ten title, and a second straight national championship would be a pretty good finish for these seniors. We're looking forward to that today, senior day here at the Shoe against Rutgers. I loved hearing Ben Buchanan and Jay Rich talk about their senior day experience. Obi, we've been looking in the archives all week. They're telling me they found it. Here's footage of Obi's senior day at the Shoe. Wait, is that Obi on the? Wait, what? Which one of these is you? Wait, is it? Okay. So this is not Obi's senior day at the Shoe. Roll the real stuff.
Oh, so, y'all dirty, man. Y'all dirty. It did me dirty. They did me dirty.
It's just fun with video. But you know what's crazy, though? You actually have a pretty wild story about your senior day. Take us through it.
Well, so I actually didn't have a senior day. I had to forfeit my senior year, and I've never told this on air, so it's kind of interesting. But if you Buckeye fans out there, you remember Niall Diggs. Yeah. Niall Diggs was a guy out of California. He was actually going to USC. What's interesting is now Niall Diggs was raised by his sister. She was dating the USC basketball coach, right? The USC basketball coach got fired. Niall Diggs was headed to USC. When he got fired, his sister pulled his letter of intent to USC and sent it to Ohio State, right? If you remember, Niall Diggs came in as a linebacker. I wore number 32. He came in and he wore number 32. My scholarship was actually taken along with Alonzo Shavers. I know you're watching. And they brought in Niall Diggs and they brought in another player. Now, you talk about NIL, you talk about players' rights and all that kind of stuff. This is back in the 90s, so we were just high commodity or low commodity. And at the end of the day, it's interesting that I realized, because actually Butler Benote was working in the athletic department and there's other individuals that I knew, they said, hey, Obi, this is actually what happened. It was well after the fact. My mom always said, hey, baby, you got to learn you have to learn to eat the meat and throw away the bone. And if you're going to be a Buckeye, you're going to have to either choose to be bitter or better. And I chose really not to be bitter, but to be better. And that's why I think I'm here. So even though I didn't get that closure, I'm still a Buckeye, and I'm still thankful for this university.
I love your attitude. I love you telling that story. That's really, really cool. You know, the last time Rutgers played here, there was some bad blood on this field. Not sure if you remember. We're going to take a walk down memory lane coming up next on The Football Fever. What happened when Greg Schiano got in Ryan Day's face? The bad blood, a look back coming up next when The Fever rolls on.
It was the hit heard around the Big Ten back in 2022. Jesse Mirko getting slammed to the ground on a late hit by Rutgers wide receiver Aaron Cruikshank after the punter ran for 22 yards on a fake punt deep in a blowout win. That led to a brawl, folks, between the Buckeyes and the Scarlet Knights that had the refs breaking things up. It even led to a heated war of words between Coach Ryan Day and Rutgers head coach Greg Schiano.
Yeah.
Ben, as the resident expert on all things special teams, man, I got to ask you, one, why did Mirko run the ball when we later found out that that wasn't the play that was called? And two, was Schiano justified in marching over to the sidelines and getting in Ryan Day's face like that?
Yeah, it's interesting, Jay. I remember watching this on TV, and you see he's rolling out, and you can see he's doing what's called a rugby-style punt, right? There's traditional pocket-style punting where you're going to walk straight, so they teach you to kind of roll right. And one thing they teach you, Jay, is green is go. Green is go. So he saw the green, and he decided to go. And credit to Jesse Mirko there. The reason why this caused some controversy, let's call it as it is, though, Jay Rich, is 49-10, man. So you got to understand there's football. And then there's situational football. I think that's what people were maybe questioning a little there with Jesse Mirko. You know, he saw green, he decided to go. I grew up playing quarterback, wide receiver. You understand situational football. I'm sure Jesse Mirko did. You never know in the heat of the moment kind of what took over there. But was Schiano justified for standing up for his team? Yeah, they thought that was a fake punt call. That's not okay at that situational point in the game. But as we later found, right, Jesse Mirko just saw green. He decided to go. It was interesting. Your quick thoughts on it as
You know
well,
how I'm wired, man. If you don't want somebody to do something to you, then stop
You gotta
it.
stop them.
Because I don't care if it's a blowout. I play defensive end. I'm trained a certain way. If you forget to block me, I'm going to try to take your quarterback's head off. And I don't want to hear your mouth about it after the game because it was a blowout. You should have played harder. I don't know what to tell you.
A little play on words, though. So the guy's name was Cruikshank. Man, Mirko got kind of Cruikshanked out of bounds right there. I will say that. But it was a great run. I will say that. All right, now someone who has some very passionate opinions about the punt and Schiano's reaction is our very own Dave Holmes. Dave, what's your gripe with Schiano's antics in that game?
Okay, so first off, I love that happened because anytime Rutgers and Ohio State gets together, I'm looking for something to make me more interested. So I actually loved what happened a couple years ago here in the shoe. But here's my beef with Greg Schiano. When he went to the NFL and he was the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, aren't you the same head coach who used to teach your players to dive at knees during victory formation? We have some video here. This is what Schiano used to do in the NFL. Victory formation. It is a gentleman's tradition. The game is over. Let me take a knee and walk out of here safely. Schiano had his guys going Mortal Kombat in the last 30 seconds of the game on Eli Manning. And now I'm supposed to take my late game morality lecture from him? No, I'm sorry. When Greg Schiano dove at people's legs during victory formation, he forfeited his right to get angry about a fake punt that may or may not have been called. So, guys, that is my beef. I need to settle down here. Michigan's next week. I got to save something in the tank. So, coming up next here on The Football Fever, happy SEC Cupcake Week to those of you who celebrate. We're going to analyze the schedule down south and also the Buckeyes schedule. Cupcakes, good thing, bad thing, coming up next on The Fever. Who's going to win? Let's go around the SEC. Straight winner. Texas A&M, home against Samford. Who do you guys like?
Oh, come on. It's Samford. No, I'm just playing. Texas A&M's going to win.
Sanford's 1-10, so they've won a game this year.
Is it Sanford, Connecticut?
No, not Stanford.
Stanford.
Samford, like Sanford and Sons.
Sanford and Sons. No, I'm sorry.
Georgia, home against Charlotte. Charlotte's 1-9. Georgia's at home here. If this
The 49ers?
Yeah. Ain't the San Francisco 49ers. Okay, all right, how about this one? Alabama, home against Eastern Illinois. Now, Eastern's won 3 games. That's a good program. No? No?
Yeah.
That's about, that's just as many Wisconsin won.
They might as well just have Thanksgiving week this week for the SEC teams and eat all the cupcakes you can handle right now.
That is the latest episode of The Script, the podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. I do it every week with Cardale Jones and Beanie Wells. Make sure you subscribe on Apple or Spotify or on YouTube video version. Always a lot of fun. So, Obi, this idea of playing cupcakes in the next to last week of the season, it will go away because the SEC is going to move to a 9-game conference season. But as a player in Week 11, would you like playing essentially a bye week before your biggest game?
I say absolutely. Don't hate, celebrate. If this is how the SEC has done it, they've done it for years. And certainly we wouldn't be arguing or debating or having conversations. Is JJ playing or Carnell Tate playing if we're playing a Sanford or a Charlotte or East Illinois? If this is how they've done it, again, it's going to change, but definitely it's cupcakes with icing on top, but it's just what it is.
Okay, let's do this for our Prime Sportsbook Picks of the Week. Obi, let's not make this a long segment.
Okay.
Who do you got? Sanford at Texas A&M.
Ooh, that's a close one. Texas A&M.
Okay, if it was at Sanford, but you don't roll into Sanford and win. All right. How about Charlotte against Georgia? It's at Georgia. It's in Athens.
That's a tight one. I'll still go with Georgia.
All right, and Eastern Illinois making the trip to Tuscaloosa.
Ooh.
You got the tide there?
Oh, yeah, they've won 3. Eastern Illinois. I think I'm going to go with Alabama.
Yeah, it is really ridiculous. I'm glad we're moving, though, to a 9-game SEC schedule. A lot of people think Ohio State's played a cupcake schedule. Do you think these Buckeyes are tested enough?
Oh, yeah, I think they are. I think sometimes when they look at whether the Buckeyes were tested or not, they're looking and they're like, oh, other teams have been tested. Look at Texas A&M. Look at Texas. Look at Alabama. They've been tested. But have they made the mistakes to put them in compromising situations?
Yeah.
Ohio State hasn't made some of those mistakes to put them in situations that they had to pull themselves out and win a game at the end. So I think that you have to, you got to look at that with a little grain of salt when it comes to that, because I don't believe Ohio State is playing such an orchestrated game. There's such an orchestrated season. They're focused. They haven't been to Illinois. They haven't beat Indianapolis. They haven't been to Indianapolis. They haven't beat Michigan. And there's never a team in Ohio State history that has won back-to-back. They have a lot ahead of them. They're focused, and that's the reason why I think the games have not been as close as they could be.
Yeah, I think you make a good point on the fact they haven't faced adversity because they haven't created adversity. It's like a toddler knocking over a trash can and then bragging they helped clean up the mess. Like, you're the one who did it in the first place, right? Fernando Mendoza, you got yourself into a jam in Happy Valley. I'm just saying.
Thank you.
Coming up next here on The Football Fever, Jim Tressel, national champion head coach, back in the house today to ring the victory bell. But first, he's going to talk to our Kellyanne Stitch. She's hunting him down in the shoe as we speak. We'll talk to Coach Tress coming up next on The Fever.
Today's game is extra special, not just because it's senior day, but also because a former head coach is the victory bell ringer. Kellyanne Stitz caught up with Jim Tressel ahead of the game.
JT Money.
Coach Tressel, welcome back to the shoe. What is it like to be a part of this new pregame tradition?
You know, traditions are awesome. I remember when we started the Carmen, Ohio tradition, and it's, lasted forever and people love it. And the skull session with our players going through, and this is just another one of those. Someone had a great idea and said, the victory bell is a big part of our history. And everyone's gone by the time they're hearing it, right, after the game, right? And so it's just a reminder of the great history we have here and, the historic stadium. And so it's an honor to be a part of it.
What an honor. And this year, the Buckeyes are looking to become the first team to win back-to-back national championships. Still a lot of work to do, but what are your thoughts on the team this season?
They've been constantly improving. You can tell they're curious as to how to keep getting better. And, November, all of a sudden you ramp it up a little bit more. And in this new alignment with playoffs, it's a different world, but you got to like what you see.
With a game like today, being senior day, it could be emotional for a lot of the guys. And with what's looming next weekend, back to your coaching days, how do you keep the team focused knowing what's ahead?
Yeah, I think there's a variety of emotions in this game. The seniors, who this might be their last game here, they have their own set of emotions. The younger guys don't want those older guys to leave on anything but a good note. And you've got the rival game looming. So there's a lot going through, and that's why Coach Day has got them well-focused, working play to play, and if they stick with that, they'll be fine.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. All right.
Welcome back to the Football Fever. Time now for our Hyundai Keys to the Game. Next man up, Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith will not go today for the Buckeyes. That opens up plenty of opportunity. Time to get some important reps for Bryson Rogers, Mylan Graham, and Brandon Innes needs to be a leader out there. Ground and pound. We talked about next week in Ann Arbor. The weather forecast looks yuck. Today's a good test against a Rutgers team that loves to run the football. Ohio State trying to sharpen that toughness when it matters most late in November. Finally, healthy choices, and this is very easy. Stay healthy. Next week is the game. You haven't won the game in quite some time. We need everyone out of here healthy. The last thing we need is a longer injury report next week as the Buckeyes go up north. Final thoughts here at the shoot with Obi Stillwell. What are you hoping to see today on Senior Day when the 10-0 Buckeyes host 5-5 Rutgers?
Well, you know what? I would love to see a shutout, but I'm not sure if Ohio State defense is going to be able to shut out this Rutgers offense. So I would like to see, that's one thing I'd like to see on the defensive side. I will go ahead and predict a scoop and score when it comes to on the defense. I believe the defense will score today. And on the offensive side, I'd like Julian saying to maybe take a little more chances. And I know that may impact his ratio, right, his attempts versus receptions ratio. But I think he needs to maybe get a little more comfortable throwing in these seams where the receiver has to fight a little bit to get that ball. So as he gets to know some of these younger wide receivers. So I like to see him take a few more chances, and I like the defense to score today.
When Obi says he predicts a scoop and score, you got to listen, because last week he said they're going to return a kick for a touchdown, and they did it for the first time in 15 years. So this man is like predicting Halley's Comet type events. Okay, one last question, then we'll go back to the studio. This game's probably going to end at about 3:10 this afternoon. When does Michigan week officially begin?
Oh, depending on the score.
Oh, you think late third quarter?
Oh,
begins?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, late third. They're already preparing for it.
All right, well, that's the story here live at the Shoe. The Buckeyes and the Scarlet Knights. We cannot wait. Let's go back to the studio. Final thoughts with Ben and Jay.
All right, we're looking forward to it, guys. Jay, at risk of giving some of the talking heads some bulletin board material here, what are your thoughts on the Buckeyes? Let's call it what it is, cupcake schedule and the college football landscape as a whole this season?
Well, first things first, Obi, if the game ends at 3:10, Michigan week begins at 3:11. We all know that. Second,
that's what we say. That's right.
Few things. Okay, first things first. Texas A&M, that was brought up earlier. People got to understand there's a whole other side to the SEC that is not very good. Texas A&M schedule through week 12 just in conference. Missouri 2-3 in conference. LSU 2-4 in conference. Florida 2-4 in conference. Wow. Kentucky was 2-5 in the SEC. Mississippi State 1-5 in the SEC. Auburn and South Carolina both 1-6 in the SEC, and Arkansas is 0-5 and I think soon to be 0-6 in the SEC. So when you're talking about SEC football and it just means more, you got to discuss the entire SEC, not just Alabama, not just Georgia, and not just Texas A&M, and that's what I'll leave right there.
Sure.
As far as the game.
Yeah. Okay.
As far as the game. And as far as Ohio State and Rutgers, listen, we all know Ohio State's going to run the football. That's something they really, really want to work on and get ready to go. And then defending the run. It's the perfect tune-up game for that team up north. I look for the Buckeyes to roll on the ground and for the defense to make some strides in stopping the run and just getting ready for that physicality, because you got to wire your jaws now and tighten everything up. It's going to come faster than you think. Next week, it'll be here. So I think the Buckeyes need to go out there and slap a Michigan decal on the Rutgers Scarlet Knights helmet if you have to, and pretend that's who you're going against, because you got to get prepared.
Listen, man, we've been talking about it. We're going to have a chance to see it now. You need to ground and pound. We've seen the air raid offense that is Julian Sayin and Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate, but I want to see Brandon Innes continue to step up today. Mylan Graham, kind of the future of Zone 6, as we know. So we have the talent at Ohio State. They recruit, they develop. This is a great chance for them to come out and have a great day versus the Rutgers Scarlet Knight. But Jay, you're right. It's hard not to look ahead in a game like this. That's going to be the discipline of this football team. You know, as Dave said, kind of the weather forecast, it doesn't look great next week. It's just further proof you have to be able to run the football, man, in the Big Ten, and we're going to need that next week.
We're absolutely going to need that. It's going to be gross out there, and you just want to know that the Buckeyes can always rely on 3rd and short, 4th and short. You can turn around, hand that thing off, and you know you're going to get a first down. If you can do that, you can do anything you want to do in a football game.
How are you feeling with the running back situation? That's been a question for Buckeye Nation this year. Are you zeroing in on one guy, or do you think we can do it by committee? Victory today and then versus team up north? Is that enough to get it done?
Ben, I'm zeroed in on running back Bo Jackson. I'll tell you right now, that is the guy. I think the Buckeyes will lean on him heavily in the postseason. I think in the Big Ten championship, he'll be leaned on heavily. And in the playoffs, he will be leaned on heavily. I know in short distance, you're going to go to CJ, and that's fantastic. But the go-to back is going to be Bo Jackson. And I also believe that you're going to see a lot more Isaiah West once the playoffs start, so get ready for that, guys.
Yeah, and we're going to need to see the offensive line continue to step up. There's a lot of areas that we still have improvement, and I say it after every show, and we're going to see it again right here. Special teams, you have to be special. You never know when you're going to need that clutch field goal, right? We saw the kick return for a touchdown. Just seeing how we can be a complete football team. You talk about offense, defense, and special teams. That's the key to be a complete football team, and I think that's what it's going to take for another national title run. But one game at a time. It's Rutgers Scarlet Knights today. Senior day in the shoe. Seniors, enjoy it. You've earned this opportunity, and we're looking forward to a great day. And then we know what's next week, my man.
5 minutes till kickoff. Get ready, folks.
We got to have some great game today and patience for that game next week. All right, that'll do it for us here on the Football Fever. Ohio State and Rutgers kick off in just a few minutes on Fox. Join us tonight for the Football Fever postgame show at 11. Until then, enjoy the game, everyone, and go Bucks.
Go Bucks.